Hello, Sweet Tooth here. Hope your day is going well. Hakuna Matata. I felt like putting this video down as a reference point due to the fact that some people have asked me anytime I bring it up the book that I wrote. It's a book that I wrote back in 2011, and at one time I did run a video game store, but the business failed. I didn't really make enough sales in order to equate the costs. The revenue did not equate the cost of running the business, so I had to shut it down. But at the same time that I had the store, I did promote the book that I wrote in 2011. It's called Video Gamer Levels: A New Idea. It seems like a very corny thing, very superficial, but it's meant to be a psychological theoretical idea that the main purpose that I wrote the book was meant to be a talking point that never happened. Um, because the main purpose of the book was to discuss the association of someone playing a video game, and how they distinguish virtual reality and physical reality. Um, but mainly distinguishing the factor for that player between physical reality and virtual reality was meant to help bring out talk of video gamer aggression and priming factors priming factors such as like mental or emotional states that may or may not provoke aggressive mental or physical aggression. Um, the state of somebody when they play a violent video game could actually prime uh, their aptitude and their you know not really nature. It's more like their mental state to literally just, yeah, I guess you can say snap. Um, so it seems a little bit corny that I would even bring this up, but anyways, I wanted this to be a reference point to the book. I'm going to put a link to the book that it's still on sale in Amazon for anybody that's interested. You don't have to. You don't have to look at it if you don't want to. Uh, you can leave a comment below on what it's about or why, any questions you have on it. You can even degrade me in the comments. That's fine. Um, the only issue is every time I bring this book up, because the world is built on accomplishments, and fortunately or unfortunately, this keeps following me. That I did indeed write this book. So it keeps getting brought up, and I keep having to hunt down the where it's sold. I could hunt it down through my publisher, which is BookLocker, or I could hunt it down through Amazon. And every single time, I have to hunt it down and show pretty much proof. It's like pics or didn't happen. Um, so I'm just gonna make this as a reference point. Uh, that's the main purpose of this video. Let's see, is there anything else I could say on Video Gamer Levels? The one thing I learned about this book, marketing is practically impossible. Because I almost did have a book signing deal with, well, not book signing. I could have done book signing events. I almost had this book on the shelves of the local Fry's Food and Drug Store, near where I had lived. Um, but the assistant manager could not convince corporate headquarters back in Ohio, which I believe is Kroger. Kroger oversees and, Fry's divisions, those stores. He could never convince the corporate headquarters to put it on the shelves. Never really received any response in that. I did give a copy to a book for the local newspaper, but since the editor was running for mayor, it was totally disregarded and they lost my book. In fact, that brings to mind that the first few free editions that I had for this book, because when you go through a publisher, if you're lucky, if you have a decent enough publisher, they'll give you a few free copies that are hard in order to get yourself off the ground, so to speak, so that you can pretty much show it to the world. But every single copy that I had that was free of this is like my second version of the book. My first version of the book, I lost all the copies because people I gave them to never returned them and just forgot where they were. And one of the weird instances was in the grocery store of Fry's Food and Drug Stores. One of the cashiers was interested in the book, and this was at the time that I literally did interviews for this book. Not only among friends, but their friends' friends. Interview questions that I tried to be as objective as possible, not subjective, not only from my perspective, but just general questions that would have either proven or disproven the ideas of the book, and I did not alter what the answers were other than just correcting like grammatical or punctuation errors or something. Something that, and some of the answers were kind of like hard to understand, so I had to put it into layman terms what they had told me. Anyways, I think about 2 or 3 people I had interviewed from Fry's Food Drug Stores. I think it was 2 people. So at the time when I had interviewed them, one of the cashiers overheard it, and she wanted to borrow the book and promptly lost it when I said I'd come back in a few days to pick it up. What's weird is I found it at another cashier register, and since at this time they kind of knew who I was in the local neighborhood, they lost it again. They asked, the next person asked, like, I found it at the register, and I said, oh, that's my book, and they said, oh, you wrote a book? Oh, can I borrow it? And I was like, okay, you can borrow it. They promptly lost it again. I said I'd come back in a few days, pick it up, and totally gone. It's almost like I should have retrieved it as soon as possible. It's fine though. It's lost. So I have like 4 of my original versions of the book just totally lost somewhere. Probably in a landfill. So the editor of the newspaper had lost one of my books, and he decided not to like talk to me ever again. When his secretary said that he would have talked to me, because he was running for mayor, and I suppose whoever he was having lunch with was a lot more important than me, and I guess that's fine. I did try to go for the other. That was the local newspaper. That was the one for the city level newspaper. And then I tried to go for another newspaper that was run by state, and they never responded to me. I did get onto a another website that promotes books in Colorado, I believe. But that never went anywhere because everyone that tries to go onto that site like tries to promote their own books. So my book was promoted for about 3 weeks. 3 weeks it was on the front page, shown on the side, and then it just disappeared. That didn't really go anywhere. So when I opened up my video game retailing business, um, I had promoted my own book, on the at my business, but it didn't go anywhere either. So the business failed, and subsequently, I pretty much just dropped the whole notion that anything to do with my thinking or doing or performing or associating at all with video games was ever going to come into fruition, because I couldn't sell or buy video games. I couldn't write about video games. Um, I have a few theories on certain video games that will never be, I don't know, talked about. For me, it's kind of sad because I only wanted to talk about certain topics and they never got talked about. And now it's too late. And I'm rather sure that those topics I wanted to talk about are too late. So, let's see, anything else about this book? Now, the one thing I learned about book publishing is trying to go through a traditional book publisher is a little bit difficult. If you cannot prove that your book will make a certain number of sales, you have to prove that you can make a certain number of sales, and then a traditional book publisher would help you. But you also have to be able to make those trips and dedication to like book signing events and everything else. I could have done a few book signing events, but I at that time I was going to college full time, working part time. It was almost full time at times, in regard to hours. And then I kind of switched at the same time that I was in college, that I started to go into freelance positions with IT, PHP freelancing. Um, PHP freelancing in terms of one of my gigs was to work on a charity's website to provide behind the scenes payment options, work on the registration forms, and also create the admin side of the site, so that the client that wanted this done would be able to have administration access to whoever registered for the event. And the event is the First Things First Childhood Summit. If I remember correctly, I think it's for abused children. Um, I think, but I could possibly be getting that wrong, so I shouldn't say anything further on that. But what it was the First Things First Childhood Summit, the registration for that. So, between PHP freelancing, full time college, and part time the job that I had in order to help pay for college, there isn't really any time that I could just like actively do book signing events, even if somebody would actually have paid attention to me. Um, One of the things that when my business did fail, that I probably will just bring up here, that I found that I perceived it in a different way than the old lady did was when I went down to the government agency. I don't know why I call it government agency. The local government. I went to the local government building, Commerce, I believe, or something. No, Department of Revenue. I went to the Department of Revenue in order to turn in my TPT license for retail. TPT license is your transaction license that allows you to uh, sell goods and services. Um, the old lady that took it kind of like didn't say anything to me and simply smiled. And from any other, perspective, it was the nicest smile that you could see. But from my perspective, it was kind of like she was happy I failed. And that smile kind of affected me for about 7 days or so. And it was kind of the moment that I just realized that anything with me associating with video games, aside from simply being a hobby, would never work. It would never work. Which I was fine with because I have an interest in the IT industry and software development and engineering. Software development life cycles, enterprise systems, um, business solutions, and IT. I have a deep interest in it. I've been in it for many, many years. And I kind of dropped this. I kind of dropped this book. I dropped what happened with my business since 2011, 2012, I believe. I believe it was a little bit after New Year's when this all went down. I dropped all of this and I just pushed it to the side. In fact, every book I have is kind of um, shoved away into, uh, into a cabinet. So, just if anybody finds any of that information to be interesting, I don't know if it's interesting or not, but it's some things that have been on my mind, and me putting up this video kind of reminds me of that. So, anyways, I'm going to leave the link to where I sell my book. And feel free to leave a comment. Could be anything you want. I'm always open to whatever. I won't really. The thing is, on a lot of my videos, I get a lot of spam comments, and even those I let through about 95% of them. So, I actually get more at this moment. At this moment, I get more spam comments than I do legit ones, and I kind of just let them all through. So, what I'm saying is, whatever comment you want to leave or something, it's totally fine. I'm most likely not gonna mess with it. I'm just gonna let it through. I don't believe in filtering or censoring, to a certain degree. There are some things that should be censored. But now that I've broadened up this book, and I have been in the midst of writing a second book, the second book's not going to be nonfiction. It's going to be slow going. I don't know when I'll ever get it out. But the second book that I'm going, and hopefully I do have 3 other books that I have in mind after it. And actually, I have about 5. I have 5 book ideas, but I'm probably just going to work on the second one for the longest while. It's going to be very slow going, and it's not going to be nonfiction. I've learned my lesson in nonfiction that if nobody values nonfiction quote unquote facts that come out of your mouth or your writing, nobody's going to pay attention to it. And I've noticed people pay more attention to my ability to do storytelling rather than nonfiction. So I'm going to head in that direction. I have just realized I've been talking for 20 minutes when I had initially wanted to talk for about 20 seconds. So anyways, check out the book if you want to. Totally up to you. I mean, I'm not even gonna put ads on this video. I'm not gonna put any ads on this video if it can be helped. You know how I get content ID like matched on almost everything I put on, even if it is my own stuff. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm not gonna put any ads on here, so don't worry about that. And I want to be honest, every time I bring up this book, I feel 2 very strong emotions. One is that I do love the fact that I wrote a book and that it was an idea that I really wanted to express and have debated. At the same time, I really hate myself for this book. It's 2 parts of something, but it's a good thing. It's an overall good thing. I think I put more heart and soul into my writings that are storytelling as opposed to my writings that are this. Because I think when I write nonfiction content, it comes across as robotic and unemotional. And I believe when I write storytelling, I've had people tell me there's something in it that just it feels like an emotional roller coaster. Which, to be honest, from other people's perspective, is probably the way that I should write. And I probably need to get better acquainted with my publisher. I am so lucky that my publisher actually still has my book on Amazon in Kindle version. I got rid of the physical version because you have to pay $20 or $25 a year annual fee to Ingram in order to keep up the maintenance of it, the administration of it costs. So I think I'm going to, unless I'm telling a personal story from my life, normally if I write fiction, it's a lot more emotional and meaningful than anything I write for nonfiction. So I have decided that that is the direction I'm going to start taking any of my writing, because I have, besides my professional life, a career of IT. I have two hobbies. One is video games, and video games do not do anything for me. They have never done anything for me other than just being entertainment value, which is totally fine because it's a release. Um, the other thing is book writing, and writing actually feels very good. It is it is a pleasant feeling to write and express what is in my mind, to set up a scene and have it play out. Um, this is why I don't. This is why I don't really like looking at this book, cause. But I do like looking at this book because it shows me where I started. This book shows me where I started and where I need to, what I need to do in order to be a better writer. This book shows me like the direction that I should have gone. This book is like my success and also my mistake, and shows me the mistakes that I should correct. But that does not mean that I don't believe in the idea that I portray in the book, because I do believe a priming factor is inherent in people, and it's not just video games. Um, you can do or don't do something, take an action or don't take an action, and something might prime you to do so. And let's say you want to procrastinate. If you see your favorite show on TV, if your favorite video game comes out, if your favorite football team comes on the TV, you've just been primed to be lazy. It is part of your mental state to say, that is what I want to do. And because that is what I like to do, and now something has offered itself to me for it, I will now do it. Alright, so anyways, if you are paying attention to this video at this point, I want to thank you so much for spending the time, your time, listening to a needless rant of mine. And when I do talk, I stutter. I not only stutter, but I rant a lot, and I rant on and on and on in a very monotone voice. I understand my voice is so monotone. There are a lot of people that do not like my voice. Some people do. Some people like my voice. Some don't. Not my singing though. When I did those karaoke videos on YouTube, I received the worst hate of, well, not really the worst hate, but a lot of people did not like that, and they let me know clearly that they did not like it. So, never sing again at karaoke for me. I've learned that lesson. Alright. Anyways, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. I want to thank you for watching. Hope you have yourself a good day. And this is Sweet Tooth signing off.